I touched on this in a previous video, but 4 of the metrics that I use in season are top speed, player load, sprint count over 90% of their PR, and sprint yardage over 70% or 11 mile per hour, whichever distinguishing intensity value you'd like to use. I feel like these 4 metrics give me a really good snapshot of both volume and intensities that our athletes are exposed to Monday through Thursday. As I mentioned earlier, there's a specific amount of volume that we want our athletes to be exposed to Monday through Thursday. If they're not exposed to a total amount of volume, it can cause issues with our performance on Friday night. However, if we want to maximize the timing of when we're performing at our peak, we can't just go Monday through Thursday performing the same every day and expect Friday to be magically more intense. Charlie Francis used a high-low model and is popular for publishing that model. This model adopted for football is starting to become more common practice than how colleges, NFL teams, and a lot of high schools are structuring their practice week. This is expressed through varied percentages, whether we're talking about percentages of weekly volume or percentages of a game target. These are rough numbers from some coaches that I've spoken to and some data that I've used within our own practice structure that I know have helped us support performance on Friday night. These numbers displayed on screen show the daily averages of our player load that are our targets for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. I found that hitting these numbers allows us to peak on Friday exactly where we want our athletes to be. It starts with our practice schedule. If our practices are properly aligned and structured from a physical perspective, then it's going to naturally hit some of those targets without having to interdict and without having to make adjustments for our athletes. Our goal for Monday is to have a middle intensity practice. When we're actually in our intense periods, such as team and perimeter or 7-on-7, we want those to mimic the demands of the game. We can do this by being intentional in what we script. So offensively, runs like inside zone, power, and counter that hit in the box artificially cap our skill players' distances that they can travel. In the pass game, our 3-step progression, glance, and bubble RPOs typically lend us well for the style of practice that we're looking for. Defensively on Mondays, we're looking for their top 5 runs, top 5 passes, have a skelly period, an inside run period, and team periods. From a special teams perspective, on Monday, we like punt and punt return because we feel like we can still get a decent amount of yardage and intensity there to support that middle intensity practice. Our goal is for Tuesday to be our highest intensity practice of the week. We start with some sprints and we do our special teams periods without pads because our special teams on Tuesday are kickoff and kickoff return. Again, allowing us to organically hit some of those top speeds to support our performance on Friday and to give us the intensities we need that otherwise we can't necessarily hit organically. From a script perspective, offense, it might be everything we do on Monday, but add outside zone or jet. We're going to add in those 5-step progressions and the play actions and our shot plays. On defense, we like to look at what their drive starters are, their trick plays, and we add 2 perimeter periods rather than just 1 perimeter. This allows those skill players to get a little bit more intensity. On Wednesday, our goal is to pull back on our athletes. We are in full reps and it's an open playbook, but we love this time as our red zone periods. This artificially caps the distance and intensities our athletes can get to. If our athletes only have 20 yards to work with, there's only so much volume that they're going to be exposed to over practice. Our special teams aligns with this as well as we use field goal and field goal block. Thursday, we want to bring the intensity back up. Rather than having a traditional walkthrough practice, our goal here is to sprint through and to have all of our special teams ready to go for Friday. Run through this at a pace where we try to see every game scenario. We also do both offense and defensive team, and our goal here is to recap for offense and defense what our game plan is. We'll rep both on air and with a scout team during this time to help us mentally get what we need tactically, but also preserve ourselves physically from having too high of a practice.